In this video, we're going to build these 3 pumpkins. Let's get started. A few supplies from the dollar store to help us out. The small pumpkin is 16.5 inches tall, 19.5 inches wide. We're going with the traditional look for the small pumpkin. Find center of your pumpkin and mark it. Your first board is going to be a 1x6 right down the middle. Once you find center, now it's time to start laying out your pumpkin. Each board will have a squiggly line that I'm drawing. That squiggly line is the actual cut line. So get everything lined up. Right here, it takes a little patience right here, I'm not going to lie. Get all your boards lined up with your pumpkin and your lines. Make sure they all fit within the specified board for each pattern. The small pumpkin takes 3 1x6s and 2 1x4s. Cut out your pattern. Just keep it nice and smooth so it's not jagged. If you get off your line a little bit, don't worry about it because that'll be your new pattern. When you're all done, it should look something like this. Now on to the medium pumpkin. It's kind of taken on a grimace shape. The size of the medium pumpkin is 26 inches tall and 18 inches wide. Here's your cut list for the medium pumpkin. The large pumpkin is 36 inches tall, 22 inches wide at the widest point. I used 1x6s and 1x4s, but if you use 1x6s, it'll make your job a lot easier on this big pumpkin. Once you have all your patterns cut out, it should look like this. Now we're ready to do some woodworking. Let's go. Right here, I'm cutting a bunch of blanks for each pumpkin. When you're all done with your blanks, it should look like this. Now it's on to the fun stuff. Tracing out every single pattern. Take your time. Make sure you get a good pencil line around your pattern. Double check it before you start cutting. Take your time with your jigsaw and stay on the line. Be nice and accurate. After cutting out a few boards, I found this to be helpful. Take your pattern and then your up next pattern and scribe it. Mine was off just a little bit, so I remarked it and cut out the new line, and it fit much better. I used a 1/2 inch roundover bit on all the edges on the front side. I didn't have any super glue or double-sided tape, so I went for the old big blue here. It held pretty good, but I don't recommend using blue tape. Get yourself some double-sided tape or super glue. If you're going to use fence pickets for this build, you might want to get a smaller roundover bit than 1/2 inch because that material is only a 1/2 inch. I sanded everything down with 150 grit with the orbital sander, and then 150 grit hand sanding to round over everything. Going for that pumpkin-y look. If you're going to paint them or stain them, do it now while they're loose. So if you want to do different colors, it'll be way easier to do different colors with them apart before we put them together. All right? Before you put these on, these braces that are going to go on the back piece, I just cut some scraps and they fit where they fit. The big one gets 3, the other one gets 2. I think that should be good. These are for our daughter, Holly. She wants to watch them gray out. So, what would you do? What are you going to put on them? You going to paint them, stain them, make them look cool, funny? Let me know in the comments what you do, how you finish your pumpkins. Right here, I'm attaching the back board with some Type Bond 2 glue and some brad nails, a bunch of brad nails, and then I finished it off with some pocket screws I had laying around. I scribed in the bottom boards for a better fit. Right here, I'm struggling to cut these 8-penny nails. We're going to use these nails to attach the stems to the pumpkins. Get a better pair of pliers than I have. Make 2 marks to line up your stem with your pumpkin. Hammer in your first nail so you have enough meat on that side there so it doesn't split. And then we're just going to square it up the best you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. Hammer in your second nail, straighten them up a little bit. We're going to mark the stem. Put the stem on, square it up the best you can right there on the back side. Then just take a hammer and just tapped it lightly just to mark it up. So we could drill these holes so we don't have a blowout in the final hour of putting this pumpkin together. Add a little glue. These stems will probably hold without glue, but we're not going to do that. Take your stem, put it on your nails, and just slide it down. Push it down. I tapped it down to seat it with a hammer. Clean up your mess. And let's move on to the little pumpkins. The small pumpkin and the medium pumpkin are a little bit easier to put the stem on because they don't have a seam right in the middle of the stem. So once you're done with all this, I'm going to give you a bonus pumpkin for sticking around here. Bonus pumpkin you can make with any material. 1.5 inches, 2 inches wide, doesn't matter. It's super simple. You could put it together in just a few minutes, no exaggeration at all. No glue, just some brad nails. And we're going to cut the stem out of an oak dowel, 1-inch oak dowel. Or you could use anything, a wine cork or a scrap piece of wood. We're putting the stem together the same way we did on the big pumpkins. A nail, a hole. I didn't use any glue, it was tight. I just hammered it down. We built these pumpkins a few years ago, and this is how my wife decorated them. Here are the numbers for your bonus pumpkin. If you got value out of this video, hit subscribe and join me on this journey. Until next time, bye for now.